Hi everyone, Diablo 3 Season 30 starts this Friday. And if you remember that game and you want to jump back in, then we have all of the updated guides and tier lists for you here on Maxroll. So I want to give you an overview over what we have done and what's going to happen, and basically everything you need to know to get started in Season 30. Now, what you need to know is that there has been one final balance patch in Season 30 now that especially brings down some of the top builds and brings up some of the bottom builds. So everything is moved a lot closer together compared to before. So you can see this here, for example, we have a lot of stuff in S tier, we have a lot of stuff in A tier, a bunch here, and then there's almost nothing anymore down here. So this is the general picture of how tier lists will look from now on, unless we actually go and spread them out a little bit more with smaller ranges. But for now, this is what we got. So there is not really these shining stars anymore that are significantly better than other builds. However, because of the different season themes that we're gonna see in the seasons to come, some builds just get a bigger bonus out of these than others, and depending on which season theme they will bring back, some of those builds will just rise to the top more than others, or some builds just don't really benefit. In the case of Season 30, we have Soul Shards. Well, if you remember Soul Shards, that was a season theme from Season 25, so that one is back now. And this actually affects most builds somewhat equally, with a bit of plus and minus. Especially the weaker builds are actually buffed by these, because of this Sliver of Terror and the Ring of Fire that it can proc. So this is some old footage here from back in Season 25. The Ring of Fire was especially strong in solo 150 pushes or any other tier push, basically, where you see here this Ring of Fire on the ground. There's a lot of elites right now, but this can burn down big packs of monsters and elites, and you have these stacks here on the buff bar, and every 100 kills you're gonna get this Ring of Fire. So basically what weaker builds do is they make a pull with roughly 100 targets, or nearly 100, get the Ring of Fire, and then you just try to get back to close to 100, and you kind of chain these Ring of Fires, and they kind of just kill everything. You see here the progress is insane from just a single ring. Yeah, it's basically like a conduit pylon, and you can get multiple of those procs as you go. So this is one of those things to keep in mind, that a lot of these pushing builds, especially in solo pushing, this is a thing, and you have to play around this a little bit to really get the full benefit out of the Soul Shards. But other than that, most builds are at a really high power level anyway. The Altar of Rights is back from Season 28. This was one of the most beloved season themes ever, I think. It has been nerfed a little bit, so it's not as powerful as it was, but it does have all of the quality of life stuff. It does have some damage buffs, etc. So it is still really valuable. And then the Soul Shards come on top. And the Season 29 theme, Visions of Enmity, is also back. So this makes it so that basically everything you see here, even all the way down to here, is gonna clear greater than 150 solo without even that much trouble. I would expect that probably in less than a month from season start, everything you see here will have done 150 solo at least once from some dedicated people. So I think basically all of the S tier builds will do it day 1 or so, or day 2, at the very least, the first weekend. And these builds will kind of follow, once you reach something like 2-3k paragons or so, I guess, and then it kind of goes down here with more and more paragons required to do 150 solo, if that is your target. Some of the best builds, yet again, are going to be Nova related builds and Meteor builds. So we have all of the Necro stuff here and the Wizard stuff, but the best builds have shifted a little bit. So for example, for Nova, it's Inarius now, no longer Tragul. So those two have kind of swapped places because they buffed Inarius and nerfed Tragul. And then for Meteor, it's LOD now. So LOD Bazooka in particular, with the Archon variant, is going to be stronger because they actually heavily nerfed Tarasha. So the LOD version profits a bit more. But yeah, Nova and Meteor are still there, just in different versions a little bit. There are some other really good builds for all classes. So for Demon Hunter in particular, for pushing, we have Natalia. That's going to be really powerful. This is probably what I will be racing with myself for the world first on hardcore. There's also Marauder, which is not far behind, but did get a small nerf, so it's probably not competitive with Natalia. We have stuff here on the bar with Raker, for example, being a very powerful build. There's Hoda, so stuff like that. The Crusaders are actually in a pretty interesting spot here. They have 2 Thorns builds, because with the Soul Shards, it's actually possible to crit with Thorns. There is one of the weapon Soul Shards that allows you to get 100% crit chance when you CC enemies, and this is what these builds profit from a lot, so they actually move up quite a lot here. Even Invoker is up here. because if you time those CCs well with the conventional elements, for example, they can dish out a lot of damage. Actually, a bombardment used to be in the 4-man meta back in Season 25 because of this crit Thorns damage, making it much more powerful than normal. But there is other stuff there as well, even Blessed Shield that got buffed, Condemn, so Crusader is actually looking pretty powerful and has a really good farming build as well with the Fist of the Heavens. Then there's Monk. They nerfed Wave of Light a little bit, but it remains up here. There's also Tempest Rush that we moved up here. So that is looking pretty promising, especially, as you can see here. This is actually back from Season 25, a clip with Tempest Rush, where I just absolutely annihilated this 150. And now we also have the altar on top of that and so on. So this is going to be even stronger. So this is basically how this looks like for the S tier, for the best builds, for solo pushing. Now we do have other tier lists as well with, a bit other objectives. For example, the solo experience, like the speed farming tier list. That is definitely a big Demon Hunter season this time around. So it looks like it's just going to be DH, DH, DH in the S tier, and that's basically it in terms of like the fastest XP farmers. So there's God, there's UE, and there's Impale. Impale in particular, I think, might actually be the best here. So back in Season 25, I actually did a video on this that, like I showed my speed farming setup. So let me try to find this real quick. Here. So this was my original video from back then, where I just like showed off a run or so, and this was with like a relatively low paracon still, and I think that was on hardcore as well. So in general, this was pretty crazy setup, because there is this Essence of Anguish shard, and then gives you explosions. Basically, whenever you kill an enemy, it will do the damage that you killed the enemy with as an AoE, which is extremely powerful for Impale, which has usually no AoE, but has very high single target damage. So you can kind of like throw a knife, everything explodes, and you move on, and it's extremely fast. It's like a super speedy build here, and you can just like destroy those Greater Rifts. So this is what I think will be probably the top solo speed farming build. But as I said, there's others there as well. So Demon Hunter in general looks really good this time around. It has a competitive pushing build. Natalia might actually be good enough for like group 4-man meta, or like group meta in general, 2-man, 3-man. It has very high AoE damage output, and with the nerfs to Nova and to Meteor, I think Natalia actually has a really good chance of being competitive as a trash killer in groups as well. So there's that, but there is other builds as well that can use on other classes. So we have something like a represent for all classes here. There's Wave of Light, there's Bombardment, there is Tempest Rush, even Raphma and Nova. So a few things are here that you can use to like speed farm pretty efficiently in solo. And for groups, it's mostly, you combine some of these like speedy builds and then like 1 or 2 supports, and you go. So I think the best ones here will probably be God the Ages or also Impale. But there's also, there's Rat still. There are some other options here that could combine potentially. For example, like the bombardments. When you have a support necro, freezing everything, bombardment, 100% crit chance with thorns, can do quite a lot of damage. So you can definitely do some combos there. But if you want to check out the group meta stuff, I have also updated all of these posts here. So the 2, 3, 4 player push and the experience meta. And effectively, it's just some of those top builds here that we already saw from the solo tier list, yet again, as like some of the trash killers. And then similar here for the Rift Guardian killers, we have Raphma. That's going to be like the main Rift Guardian killer. And then there are some other options that you can use as well, but they are probably a little bit behind and bring like, plus minus a bit of utility. And the supports stay the same here with CDH, C-Barb. So most of the group farming for like the really high-end players, I think will be done in Greater Thunder 50 anyway, because people are just going to rush through them in like 2-3 minutes or so, like all day long basically, starting very early in the season. But if you want to do like more speed run, like the old rat run type runs, for example, you can definitely do that with any of those fast solo farming builds. So there is some explanations here in this post, for example, about how this works with the supports, how you can combine those different DPS builds, and there are a lot of different options this time around, I would say, that are at least somewhat comparable. And that's also it for this video already. I wanted to give you the overview here. I wish everyone good luck, have fun in Season 30. I'm going to be blasting myself on Friday. I'm going to do a 24-hour stream, trying to race for the world first on hardcore on Greater Thunder 50. So that will be pretty fun. So stay tuned for that. And I have a few more videos coming up for season 30, so I want to talk about the leveling again, the soul shards, some builds probably, and then I guess everyone is going to be well prepared. Hope you like this, and see you guys next time.